Welcome all to a startlingly simple guide to Shogun Total War. Now, as with all Total Wars, there are plenty of tailored tactics for each faction and situation, but for this, let's just keep things simple. To begin with, you'll be faced with three key decisions: the campaign year, faction, and victory conditions. For campaigns, the main thing to note is which factions will be present with each. So as you can see, looking at the map here and the factions on the side, as we scroll through, we will have different starting positions and different factions present within each. Feel free to have a look through, though I'll be proceeding assuming the Sengoku Jidai. The victory conditions are very much up to you. You can aim for a complete domination of the game map or lesser amounts as you so wish. Essentially, these will boil down to, do you want a long or short campaign? As for factions, each will have its own advantages, though typically this is a slight price difference to units or such. And what's actually going to be more important is their starting position. The fewer clans near you, the less fronts you have to be concerned by, and the easier your start. Assuming we want a nice and easy campaign, let's take a look at the Shimazu. They start over in Kyushu with very few fronts to worry about, and an excellent position to expand all the way into mainstream Japan or Honshu should you wish. You've chosen your star and now find yourself on the campaign map. Well, it's time to get your bearings. First things to note are our panel down here. We have our military panel showing us all the current armies we have in our control, the rank of their generals, the number of men present, and where they are. Next we have alliances. This screen will become increasingly more important as war breaks out and alliances are built and lost throughout the course of the game. Next along we have economy. Your economy panel is nice and simply broken down. At the top, all your regions, their loyalty, the income from those regions, and the expenses. This is the costs of soldiers currently in those lands. Making sure your income outweighs the expenses. However, you will inevitably have to leave soldiers in regions to hold loyalty or to defend your borders. As such, total expenses and your total income are going to be really what show you what you're earning. While on this panel, we can change our tax rates, punitive being the highest, very low being the lowest. And what's important here is as you change, so will the loyalty. Currently 106% at 100. Let's lower that. We're now at 90% tax with 114%. We raise it 99% at 110% tax. Our spy info parchment or subterfuge status is your panel for looking at all of your agents. At the beginning we only have an emissary, though later on this will be filled with emissaries, shinobi, geisha, and all of our other agents as they become available. We'll have their name, their current level of honor, and their current mission. The final panel is our heirs panel. Here you can see all the heirs that are currently available or unavailable as the situation dictates. Right now we have one heir, 14 years of age, and deemed underage. When they come of age and you recruit a unit, they will automatically join it. So be careful about what you're recruiting, because your heir may end up in an inferior unit. And should that heir become your daimyo, then it will automatically leave and join a new unit of 10 heavy cavalry as their bodyguard. Next up are your regions. Each region on the map has different levels of agricultural production, potential access to buildings, and means to travel through them. Keep an eye on where your borders are so you know where to attack and where you will be attacked from. For example, over here in Satsuma, currently, we don't have anything to worry about in terms of being attacked, as no one can actually reach this area without first going through Higo, Hyuga, or Osumi before reaching us. So what will you be building in your regions? Castles are the key structure for your kingdom, providing not only military, but other useful advantages to each of their levels. There are 4 levels of castles, and each offers new construction options, which in turn provide new recruitment options. Farms provide a percentage increase to income, upgrading in 20% increments. Try to build these in fertile lands first to see the greatest return on your investment. Mines and ports, however, provide a static income afforded to only specific locations. These are excellent at the start, though upgrading farmland will eventually provide a better source of revenue. A static income is still nothing to snuff at. Upgrade buildings. These provide a mixture of upgrades to units recruited in the same province. Palaces improve morale. Armories improve armor, and swordsmiths improve attack. Notably though, armorers are required to recruit Naginata and heavy cavalry units, so these are well worth constructing when possible. Recruitment buildings. These fall into two categories, military and subterfuge. For military recruitment, the name of the dojo should be fairly self-explanatory as to what you will recruit there, and further upgrades to them will result in higher tier units. Think Naginata, which require a famous spear dojo to recruit, or increased honor upon recruiting for their current units. The only thing that may really perplex a new player on your first run through is that sword dojos will only become available following an event. The legendary swordsman event will trigger naturally with combat, so simply continue about your wars and you will have access to Nodachi in no time. An additional and extremely effective unit can be gained from temples in the form of Buddhist warrior monks. These have extremely high morale themselves and even strike fear into enemies they face. A very potent mix, and are extremely useful in battle, both to hold the line or quickly break your enemies. For Subterfuge, the names aren't always quite so obvious. As we can see from the building descriptions though, Shinobi come from the Tea House, Ninja from the Ninja House, Emissaries from the Tranquil Gardens, and should the time come, Geisha from the Geisha House. However, in order to build this, you will require both a famous tea house and an infamous ninja house within that region. Each upgrade to these buildings will increase the starting honor of the agent recruited there, but that's about all. There are additional buildings you can construct, especially those surrounding Christianity, though these stop being so startlingly simple, and you can actually complete a campaign quite easily with just the aforementioned structures. Economy and loyalty are constant concerns across the entire Total War franchise, and it was right here in Shogun that their foundations were set. Your economy equals power. A well-managed economy can deal with any situation the AI can throw at you. Developing regions is going to be a top priority to ensure you have a consistent income throughout the game. Military structures are important, however you can look towards select, dedicated regions to produce your troops. Sending reinforcements out to the front lines quickly and efficiently, while allowing the rest of your kingdom to focus on maintaining and further increasing your finances. A key part of these finances will be your taxes. Going into the tax panel, you will need to find a good balance between maintaining your region's loyalties while maximizing your income. A general rule of thumb for setting this is to hold shift on the campaign map and simply making sure that everything is green. Should a region appear yellow, it would be a good idea to begin moving troops towards it and getting shinobi ready to move in there if you have them. If a region shows up red, this is a real problem. You need to address this immediately. Get troops in there to raise the loyalty or shinobi if they are available, though be prepared for a fight if you leave this too long. Though having soldiers present behind your front line is definitely useful in preventing enemy incursions as well as stopping rebellion, a full army is a large cash sink. A small number of cheap Ashigaru units positioned throughout your kingdom can allow you to quickly move units around to police provinces and thus keep that loyalty green. An alternative to this, and arguably superior method, is to begin using shinobi as they become available. Shinobi positioned in your provinces will work to raise loyalty and have a fairly large effect on this level. Atop this, a shinobi will also act as a defense against enemy ninja, making them a great accompaniment to your daimyo or other agents to help mitigate that threat. Weather and waiting. This only appears if you are attacking, however it can be useful to note that there are small changes with the weather. Snow will have an effect on fatigue, the wind will have an effect on your archers, and more importantly, the rain will have an effect on your visibility. Being able to see the enemy in this early game is quite a challenge at times, particularly as the AI tends to enjoy hiding in the trees. The high ground really matters. It helps your archers and tires out the attackers, which reduces their morale. Unfortunately, the AI really doubles down on getting the better position, so you'll have to weigh up the pros and cons of engaging them in each scenario, and even at times provide sacrificial front lines to get in some excellent side and rear charges. Flanking your opponent is the most important part of every Total War combat. By flanking or rear charging, you're going to provide a morale drop to the enemy, and breaking the morale is far more effective than trying to wipe out every single unit. In order to best win any form of combat, you're going to want to build some well-rounded armies. A well-rounded army will have some spears to stave off enemy cavalry, as well as act as a strong, solid front line. It will have some archers prepared to skirmish and reduce the enemy numbers prior to engagement, while also forcing them out of favourable positions. And finally, some cavalry ready to charge the flanks or rears of any unit that dared present it. And then you can add whatever you want. You can tailor the army to better fit your needs. For this, you will have to do some practice yourself, as no one can give you a clear explanation of what to use. If you enjoy charging the enemy and inflicting as much damage as possible, Nodachi and heavy cavalry definitely sound good for you. If you prefer to hang back and fire upon the enemy from a distance, then looking into more bow cavalry would be far superior. However, there is no one guaranteed way to win. All units are useful, all units work, except don't expect Ashigaru to hang around very long. Rivers and trees. Rivers are a great point of defense, but horrible to attack, forcing you to cross bridges, often making the auto-resolve far more appealing than fighting the assault yourself. This is because you will find that you will funnel your soldiers into the enemy's fire, meaning that you will take extremely heavy losses. Fight these at your own discretion, but expect heavy casualties whenever you do. Trees, well, trees just suck. However, the AI always seem determined to use them. So if you're struggling to find a sneaky unit, go scout out the various blobs of trees throughout the map, because they love hiding within them. Just be prepared to not be able to see where the enemy is. More often than not, my method of finding them is to simply hover the mouse around until it turns into a sword, proving that you have found a unit and can therefore attack them. Ports. Ports are one of the most useful structures within this game. Not only will they grant you an additional 200 Koku trade bonus, but also we can then use them to transport troops. Satsuma, being one of our unit production centers, can move troops anywhere we have an adjoined port, going all the way to Kawachi, or even all the way to Segami. Setting up your port network is one of the most important things you can do, as not only will it net you a decent profit right at the beginning, but also allow you to move your soldiers quickly and efficiently, taking them straight to the front lines or moving them back to assist with your loyalty. Another thing to note with ports is that your emissaries can in fact use your enemies. So I can move this shinobi all the way to Shimosa, despite the fact we do not own this territory. but it also allows the AI to send emissaries to your daimyo. By keeping a daimyo near a ported town, they will quickly find you and set up alliances. A moving or rolling front line is commonly used in total war games. This is because once you have secured an area, gained their loyalty, you can use them to produce troops and then advance your front line into enemy territory while retaining some form of defense, shifting the largest units forward while keeping smaller, weaker ones behind. This will allow you to maintain a solid frontage against your enemies and maintain the loyalty of your newly gained territory. By advancing forward into Owami, we are then able to keep moving forward while shifting our old units designed purely to keep loyalty, rolling our line forward into Takeda's territory, eventually linking up with Hoki and Bichu and wiping out the Takeda entirely. As with all other strategy games, you will aim to keep your front line as small as possible and restricted to as fewer enemies at one time as you can. However, being a sandbox, you never quite know what will happen. Somehow we ended up with territories in Sagami, Kai, and even into Izu and Suruga. Owing to this, we had a quick need to build up defenses in these areas and give up some other territory. However, as you can see, the main front line has been in Owami and Aki, Kawachi, Tamba, and Wakasa, with those two fronts almost resolved at this point. Thus ends the startlingly simple guide to Shogun Total War. Please leave a comment if you found this guide useful, but also get in touch if you feel there's anything that could be added to a startlingly simple guide to make it that much better. But alas, I've been Bjorn Skogcat, thank you all for watching, and as always, until next time, peace out.